guys, welcome back. Today I'm going to show you all the sales figures you need to know about property values and the market here in Chino Hills, California for the month of July 2024. I'm Mike Velez, broker and owner of Building Realty here in Chino Hills, and I'm going to show you all the data that you need to know. So first off, let's take a look at sales values. If you're a resident of the city or you're thinking about moving into the city, you're probably wondering, hey, what's the median home price these days? All the data I'm going to share with you today is for single family residents that are detached. So that doesn't include condos where you have a common wall or even a duplex where you might have a common wall. So this purple line is 2024 and this is July. The median sales price for the month of July was $1,127,500, and that's up a decent amount over June, actually 5.5% to be exact. So June's median sale price in the city was $1,068,205. So 5.5% over June. That's pretty good appreciation so far. If we look back even further, we go to July of 2023. That's that blue line right there, 971. That is a huge jump, about 16.5% over 2023, the same month last year. So that is a pretty big jump, and that shows just the appreciation that we've had since July of last year. First off, last year was an extremely low sales count number for the entire nation, but specifically Chino Hills as well. Some people will describe it as a recession in real estate, and that's what they're talking about, just the number of sales. So last year was the lowest number of sales for the entire country in the last 28 years. That is a deep trough in terms of sales numbers. So we have had some recovery in the number of sales in real estate, not only nationally, but here in Chino Hills as well. So the numbers bear that out. So many times I'm asked what's going on in real estate, what's happening with the values, and just off the cuff, as you can see here, sales prices have not gone down, they've gone up, but there has been a kind of a softening in the market, and the next slide will give you an idea of what I'm talking about. So this graph here is the median original price of new listings coming into the market for whichever month the data set is for. So if we look at July of this year, the median original list price is down quite a bit from June. So in July, new properties that went on the market, their original list price was almost a cool $1,999,000. If we compare that to June, the median original list price was 1.248. Pretty big drop. Now, it's hard to say exactly why those numbers, there's such a disparity in those numbers from one month to the next. I tend to believe it has to do with sellers that are looking at the market and they're seeing homes stay on the market longer. Now, the median numbers I'm going to share with you in a little bit, and you won't see a real drastic increase in days, but when you look at the average numbers, and if you're really paying attention to your neighborhood, you might see that a home's been on the market for 30, 60, 90 days. If you're going to market right now, you definitely want to have the home priced right, and that means where the market is or slightly below. You don't want to be going into the market for sale higher than where the market is, especially with days on market increasing and more inventory coming out. Now let's take a look at the number of sales that took place in the city of Chino Hills in the month of July, and there was a total of 41 sales for the month. Those are transactions that could have been negotiated a month, 2, 3 months even before, but this is the number of homes that sold in the month of July. If we go back to June, it was just down by 1. So statistically, not really a big factor, but it kind of just shows if we kind of just look at the trends. So even though it was a small dip, 1 sale difference from June, it just kind of reinforces the seasonality of the market right now. We did have a reduced number of sales from June to July, both 2024, 2023, and 2022. So just kind of following that trend. The abnormal years were 2020 and 21. We were just in the middle of COVID in 2020, and 2021 is when interest rates were dropping real hard and everybody couldn't get a house fast enough. So it's not shown here in this graph, but if we go back pre-pandemic, we go to 2019, the number of sales in the city of Chino at July this time of year, it was in the 70 to 80 range. Where we're at now is a pretty big dip from where we were pre-pandemic, and even in 2020 we were looking at 53 sales for the same time period, and in 2021 73 sales. So again, that's what I mentioned when I say a recession in real estate. This is what we're talking about, just less properties being sold. And if we compare to just last year, July of 2023, we had 9 additional sales. This year, 32 from 2023. And the way these trend lines are the last 3 years, we can kind of expect to see a continuation of fewer sales going on. Seasonally, as we get later into the summer, typically we have a drop off in the number of transactions, although we are seeing a gain in inventory, which I'll show you in just a moment. So here's a look at the number of new listings coming on the market in a given month. month, July ended up with 50 new listings coming to market. That is a slight drop from June, 51. And the peak this year so far was May with 65 new listings coming on the market. As you can see, in 2022, May was also the peak. 2020 was kind of that abnormal year where the peak didn't hit until August. And then in 23, which was last year, July was actually the peak of new listings coming on. So what does this mean? As we can see, kind of as the year tapers out, all of the trend lines trend in the down direction. So we can expect fewer new listings coming out on the market in the city of Chino Hills. So this here is the number of active listings in the city. Now the difference between this and the last graph I showed you, which was new listings, these are listings that have been on the market during that period of time. So those 50 listings that we took on in July, we're gonna add those to whatever was existing, and that's gonna give us this number here. So if we look at the total number of active listings in July, we're gonna see that it was at 89, so minus those 50, we had 39 listings that carried over from June into July. And as far as June went, we were at 82. So a slight uptick in number of listings on the market in the city of Chino Hills. If we go back, we look at 2023, the trend line is kind of about the same. In fact, on all these three, all but 2020, we have that same kind of trend line going as far as increase in the number of active listings. So what does that growing inventory mean? We had an increase from June to July in both the number of new listings and existing listings, and that translates into longer days on market. So more inventory out there. If demand doesn't change, it stays equal. It's more choice for buyers. So in the last month, buyers have gotten a little bit more leverage. It's still a strong seller's market, but buyers are in a slightly better position. They have more homes to choose from because there's more inventory out there, and buyers are seeing higher days on market. This is the median number of days on market. The average is going to be a higher number, but as far as medians, the preferred measurement, we did see an increase from 11 days on market in June of this year to 13 days in July. So an increase of 2 days. So 2 days might not sound like a lot, but that's about 20% of an increase as far as the days on market from one month to the next. For buyers, this is good for you. This means there's a better chance that some of those sellers are going to be impatient and be willing to take maybe a smaller offer price than they might be looking for. So keep that in mind. Sellers, I mentioned it before, you don't want to come into the market too high. You want to be at the market or slightly below because there's more competition out there. Your home's going to be competing against more properties. One of the things that I always tell my sellers is whatever price you come in with, put yourself in the buyer's shoes. Would you pay that much for that home compared to what else is on the market? So just a tip for sellers. So one of the tools that we use at Building Realty to help inform our clients, both buyers and sellers, is a service called Altos Research. And what they do is every Sunday night, they scour the MLS all over the country, and including Chino Hills and the surrounding area. And they give us all the data specifically for that moment in time to give us kind of a forward look at where the market is going. So that's everything I've shown to you to this point has been in the past. Now we're going to kind of look forward and make some judgments and kind of see where we think the market is going. And next month we'll see if that held true. So this is a look at Chino Hills. So this is what's called the Market Action Index, and it kind of gives a gauge between a buyer's market and a seller's market and where we are. This month, or as of today, so we're recording this on August 12th, Monday, this data is from less than 24 hours ago. This is from last night. And if we look at June last month, it was a stronger seller's market. It's measuring a 62 on the Market Action Index. As I mentioned previously, the market is getting a little bit better for buyers, still in a strong seller's market, but buyers are starting to get a little bit more leverage. So again, this data is a little bit different from what I showed you. That was stopped at the end of July. This is up to date, including the first few weeks here of August. If we look at the median list price, now this includes homes that have been on the market for who knows how long, we're at 1.18. Now the number of new listings in the last week, the median price is coming at 1.150. So a little bit of a decrease, and kind of goes along to what I was mentioning earlier about sellers taking a look at the market, paying attention to days on market on the existing homes and adjusting their prices accordingly. Now, will this translate into lower sales prices next month? We'll find out. Price per square foot for single family homes that are detached, this isn't usually the best number to gauge value or comparing properties to each other, especially in Chino Hills. You've got some properties that have amazing views. You've got homes that have tons of landscaping with huge pools, and then you have others that have very little yard. So that doesn't factor into this price per square foot number. Average days on market, I mentioned that this number is going to be higher. In this market, that's just how it is when you measure median versus average. Average days on market is 56. You can see that that's come down down a little bit slightly in this little graph that's illustrated there. So if we look at average days on market, we are at 56. Again, this is using data that has happened since the end of July, so this is completely up to date. And this is reflective of what's on the MLS right now, not necessarily what's sold, where some of the numbers were from the previous graphs that I shared with you. Median days on market, 21, also higher than July. If we take a look at this here and we click here, Friday, July 19th, we were at 14 days on market. Even though we had a little bit of a dip from last week, we're still 7 days higher than we were just a few weeks ago. Now, the number of homes in the MLS that have had price decreases, and that doesn't necessarily have to be from the original price, but there was just a price change. So you might have had a price increase and then they adjust downward, which is not too common, but does happen. This is going to reflect that here. So number of homes on the MLS that had price decreases in Chino Hills, 27. The number that had increases, 4%. In a super hot market, like if we look at 2021, the numbers were kind of pretty well reversed. You know, people were increasing their prices. They would get offers in, realize, hey, maybe we should have asked for more. So we're not seeing that right now. We're seeing price decreases. And as far as historically, this isn't too bad. I mean, if we go back to May of this year, we were at 32%. So 27, it is an uptick since recent months, but in the bigger picture, it's not terrible. Now, if we go to the homes that were relisted, and this could be they were canceled or let's say they expired, 9% of those got relisted. This number here, this is inventory. This is the number of active listings. Again, we're looking at single family detached homes in the city of Chino Hills, and currently there are 75 on the market. That is a slight increase from the week prior at 62, so 13 homes that are still out there. Some of those are going to be from new inventory, and some of those, or most of those, are going to be from homes that haven't sold yet. Median rent, if you're a homeowner in the city and you're thinking you don't want to get rid of your 2% interest rate and you're just going to rent out your house, do be aware that we have seen some price decrease in the median rent. So right now we're sitting at $3,900 is the median rent price, and that's probably for like a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, maybe a 4-bedroom, and that is in the city. If we go back not too far ago, from July 5th, it was at $4,280. So pretty decent dip from there, almost $400 off the recent peak of $4,280 in July. So I would expect that to kind of continue as more homeowners decide to rent out their homes versus selling them, not wanting to give up that interest rate. That is going to put some pressure on rents to come down. Good for renters, not as good for homeowners, but and then this last figure we're going to look at is that market action index, and so that's that scale over here. As you can see, there's a downward trend. Let's see, how high was it back here? So in April it was at 79.23, and today it is at 62. Again, still a strong seller's market, but it's going in the direction where buyers are getting more leverage and they're not getting picked on so much. So let's take a look at the market, and we're going to break it into quarters. So we have the bottom quarter and we're going to have the top quarter. So in Chino Hills right now, these are the median list prices of these different sections of the market. The top market, which would be the top 25% of homes based on sales price or list price, the median list price in that tier is 2.8 million. As you can see, the price has come down recently. So as far back as May, that was 3.7% or 3.7 million. So prices, the list prices have come down continually since then. The second tier, that's going to be about the $1.4 million range. This is going to be your typical 4 to 5 bedroom, 3-bath in the city of Chino Hills. That has come down slightly from a higher total of 1.5. It's not measuring here, but there has been a decrease in that end of the market. Now the lower tier, this is going to be from 25% to 50%, those houses that fit in that category of the market. 1.1 million is the current median list price in that category. And the lowest tier in the city, the median list price right now is $862,000. So that is kind of breaking the market, the Chino Hills market, down by segments. And you can see where there has been a big drop off in that highest tier, a little bit of a drop off in that second tier, and the bottom 2 tiers have gone up. There's a lot of demand for those more affordable homes in the city right now, as usually is the case, just because there's fewer buyers in those higher categories, but that is playing out. So if you have a home that's right in that million and under range in Chino Hills, you should have no problem getting it sold relatively quickly. Granted that you've got the right agent, this guy, so give me a call. I'll make sure it gets sold like that for top dollar. this is a look at the median list price on homes in Chino Hills, Eastvale, and Chino. So when we get a call for somebody looking in the area, lots of times they'll ask to see homes in Chino Hills, Chino, and Eastvale. There are a lot of similarities that buyers are looking for in the different markets. One thing that's interesting to note is that we don't have as much of a fluctuation in that median list price in Eastvale and Chino as we do in Chino Hills. So the reason for that is most likely the fact that we do have some luxury homes that go into the $6, $7, and $8 million range in Chino Hills, and Eastvale, Chino, you don't see that. Actually, you don't see that at all in some of those higher regions, but you know, you might have a sale. In Eastvale, you might see some homes in the $2 million range. Same with Chino. Occasionally we'll have a property sale in either of those cities that has a huge lot, might be 2 or 3 acres, and it would get lumped into this because it might have a house on it. So, but relatively calm in Eastvale. Chino Hills, a little bit more of a drastic change in that median price. As a whole, we can see the trend of values going up, or at least list prices going up in general. So here we have a look at the average days on market in the 3 cities. Chino Hills has got the highest days on market relative to the other cities, but there's been kind of a slight decrease as far as, again, this is looking at the MLS, not necessarily the completely sold data that we looked at earlier. So the most up-to-date data that we have right now shows that in Eastvale, the average days on market is 28, Chino is 30, and Chino Hills is 60. So the disparity in the numbers between Eastvale and Chino versus Chino Hills, I'm going to attribute mostly to the sale point. You know, these are homes in Eastvale and Chino are more affordable, so there's just more people in those markets looking for those price points. So that would go to explain the big difference in days on market.